the high desert and the great American Southwest. I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world's time zones. All of them covered by this program. Midnight in the desert. Yeah, one day I'll make a mistake and do it. The rules for the show are simple. No bad language. Unless I say it. Only one call per show. That's it. Those are the rules. Again, they go on the floor. Then I notice every night I step on them and they're getting dirtier and harder to read every day.
From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Dressel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned. Hey, we're back, everybody.
Last week was brutal.
It was brutal. So how is everybody? And what do you think of the new studio?
Yep, we're in.
We finally made the move.
We're in, man.
We're finally in, barely.
Barely, yes.
We barely got this thing set up. I don't advise anybody to move ever.
Oh, it's horrible, man.
It's absolutely brutal, and I don't think you ever stop moving. It's like because you got 1,000 boxes in your garage, and
You guys
you're
lived at your old house for a long time.
20 years, and there's still stuff in the attic that I don't want to go up and get. Have you ever moved into a house and you go up there and the people before you left everything in the attic?
Yeah.
Which is awesome because sometimes you can find some really cool stuff. I remember being 16, we moved to a house. Hey! Okay. Okay, we'll fix that. Hang on just a minute, everybody. We got to do that over then. Okay, I think we're back on. Guys, sorry about that. Pam was saying that it sounded like we were underwater. Is that correct? Did everybody get that? Hear everything okay?
Sounds good.
I think we're back on.
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh, you're good, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, that's you're getting go back to the very beginning of it.
Yeah, I bet it's screwed up. We're good now.
I know. I just wanted that intro, man.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Pam
Pam to the rescue, even.
Pamela. I'm
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so I hope the.
I thought you were going to do the couldn't do it without her.
Oh yeah, well I have to go like over here.
Couldn't do it without her, Keith, and I wouldn't even try.
I love hearing Art Bell say Keith.
I know.
Isn't that cool?
Hey, so you were telling me you moved into a house when you were 16.
Yeah, I moved into a house when I was 16, and we went up in the attic, and the people kind of did the same things. They left an Atari system.
Cool.
And some old game systems, which, I got them down. But God, moving's brutal, you guys. I hated it.
Cass and I lived in that house in the village. I guess a photographer had owned it from like the 50s. And so, and I still have, I tried to find the guy. I tried to find him, but I still have like files and files of these old pictures of families from like.
Oh, is that the one you got?
Creepy, dude.
He hangs pictures of people he doesn't even know in his house. I'm serious. You walk in, you're like, who are these? They look like they're from the 1920s or something.
Yeah, there are some really cool ones. Yeah, I wonder, hey, when we do the EVP episode,
Yep.
do you think I can get the K2 out and run it over those old photos or anything? No, I'm not touching it. That's a bad idea. I'm not going to touch the K2. Never mind.
Yeah, don't.
Not in the new house.
I wouldn't.
It's the first thing we do.
Okay, so anyway, I got to know, the very beginning of the show, Pam came in here. She's not feeling real well, so she may not be here. So I hope Mona or someone shows up so we can have a moderator.
Hey, somebody said redo the intro.
You know what? This is for Art Bell, and I'm going to do that. So
because it's so good.
Yeah, this is for Art Bell. So you guys, sorry about this, but it's important to me.
Thank you, Georgina.
From the high desert.
Okay.
Hey, what's he talking about? I always miss that where he's like, it's getting dirtier and harder to read every day.
Well, I guess what he's meaning, you know how we have show notes.
Right.
And so he has the rules on there, and he drops them on the floor. And when he's getting up and walking back and forth, he's stepping on them constantly.
Got you.
So he said the rules are getting harder and harder to read every day.
Yeah.
But that's something that, you know, Art always had a no bad language thing, which, you know, I agree with that.
Yeah, for
Don't
sure.
you?
Yeah.
I'm playing with sound effects, baby.
I mean, we've said our fair share in here, but that's just because we get extremely passionate about.
Yeah. Sometimes I will. I mean, and I don't mean to because I don't want to. I want this to be a somewhat, I say, a high class show.
Is that why? Is that why though? Like he said no bad language is because what was his fear?
No, it was just saying he will always say you can pick other adjectives, explain yourself without using bad language.
Yeah.
So
did you ever hear him curse?
He would say hell or damn.
Mm.
And he would allow that, but if you use he wouldn't let you drop F-bombs.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, even some of his distinguished guests who did curse, he would still go, excuse me. He would correct them.
Yeah,
like, wow, Art's got some balls.
Yeah, some.
No bad language.
So anyway.
He did tell Bob Lazar he had some big ones.
Yeah, he did.
He had some big ones.
Okay, so anyway, we did do the move as we were talking.
Hallelujah.
Thank God. And this is going to go on for another month because I have 2 houses. Well, I don't have, but my father-in-law, we moved him in. So we've got 2 houses that we have to go back, clean. I got to get construction dumpster and just start throwing. I got to get those ready for sale. So it's been maddening. I've barely had time to do anything.
Dylan.
So that's the show, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye. No, not really. Anyway, we got some shout-outs real quick here. Miss Savannah, happy birthday. She turned 12 years old.
Dang, happy birthday.
And then tomorrow, Savannah's little brother and Melinda's, these are both Melinda's kids, Gabriel, will be turning 9 years old.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, you guys.
Yeah. Birthdays are cool. I love
All right.
birthdays.
So anyway, we're going to do, we originally was going to do this show last week. We was going to do it on the anniversary of Art Bell's death, which is April 13th. And he did die on Friday the 13th, which was interesting since he was into the paranormal thing. Uh-oh. That's my brother-in-law, which I can't talk to right now.
Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, I'm actually having a couple of guests come on tonight. So I did leave the phone on for that. But, so he died on Friday the 13th, which is kind of odd, you know.
For sure.
There's a lot of questions about his death. He had a lot of back problems, and he was a lineman.
Right.
Not a lineman, but like
yeah.
a Wichita lineman,
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell. And he had climbed to the top of a telephone pole, and he fell off and landed on his back.
That'll do it.
And he had horrible back pain ever since that happened.
And I mean, think about also he was sitting down broadcasting for how many years?
Oh my
Probably.
God! Oh well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Art Bell got his professional radio license when he was 13.
Jeez.
He took the test, passed it, and had a license at the age of 13.
See, hey, Savannah's turning 12. So
There you go,
better
Savannah.
start studying.
Start studying,
That's
right?
unbelievable, man. That really is.
That is.
To do that at the age of 13.
It
to
is.
be driven and.
Yeah, like you kind of said earlier, he had such a passion to do
Right,
this.
yeah. It was like his calling.
It was his calling. And this is like, you know, he's you guys hear me talk about him all the time. He's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. You introduced him to me.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I would have never known.
Yeah, he was, first he was on a show called Coast to Coast. And I have some notes here, but I'm going to I may read some of them, I may not. But Art used to do a political radio.
Right.
And he had one evening where he had a caller call in, and the guy was saying, "Hey, Art, I've seen a UFO out here right now."
Right.
And Art started talking to him about it. After that, he said every phone line was lit up, and all people wanted to talk about was UFOs.
Crazy.
And so that kind of rang the idea in his head. Let's move towards the paranormal. Let's move because the ratings went through the roof that night.
Right. Yeah.
And he had an interest in that anyway. So, yeah. So that's how it all started. Yeah. He usually has pirate he used to have pirate radio when he was young.
Cool.
He was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And he did radios in there. He did like a radio station in the Air Force. I think he had a pirate one in when he was in Japan.
Sweet.
And
yeah.
So yeah, he's always been that, but he's the king of paranormal radio in my book. I mean, to me, it started with art, and then then it took off, and
right.
You got everybody's doing it now, the late night radio thing.
See, I didn't realize that, like, because really the only introductions we had with you were mostly like the alien ones, and
yeah.
So when you told me he was like on the paranormal side, I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Just added a little layer.
Yeah, he did a lot. I mean, he was very, very interested in UFOs. Now, Art's main passion was time travel.
Right.
When his favorite movie was Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeves.
Cool.
Great movie. If you guys haven't seen that movie, I encourage you to go watch that.
I'm gonna go watch it.
Yeah, I'm looking at and with Pam out, I'm running the board. I'm running this. So yeah, Mel says Keith. She says she will save you a piece of cake. Thank you.
Jared Garner likes our fancy studio.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of the studio? Do you like this? I like it. It's neater looking. It's much tighter. The shot's tighter.
Even, but they don't see the other side of it.
Yeah, the other side is spacious. It's funny because when you look at this thing in pictures, and for Pam and I was kind of planning, it's like, oh, it's huge, But
yeah.
Every phone camera is wide angle. Every one of them.
Yeah.
They make everything like 3 times as big. So then after we started putting the equipment in here, we're like, oh, we're running out of room.
Well, there's also a funny thing called real estate photography.
Oh yeah.
Where they know the science
absolutely.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at every.
Let's get some real estate photography, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you look. Yeah, every time you look at real estate stuff, if you're looking for houses, guys, and you see a room, you go, that's huge. It's not that huge.
Go walk it off. Walk it off.
Yeah, go see it and then walk it off. Hey, we're up to 13 watchers right now.
We're not moving. Nobody in here ever move again. It's terrible.
That's true. Yeah. Don't ever move.
Just stay where you're at.
Stay where you're at. Be happy. Build onto the house. No, I'm very happy we're here. It's a huge upgrade from where we came from.
You did wake up with some scratches on your leg, though.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Are you burning the sage?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I did wake up with some scratches, but so I hope
whatever
was at the other.
anything.
It could have been. And look, I have horrible allergies. Like I used to have food allergies. So, but the funny thing is, they're little dots, which is weird.
I don't know, man.
It's weird.
Hey, really quick, we're doing the EVP.
We're so all over the place.
No, it's
tonight.
cool. We're doing no.
But yeah, guys, tonight this show is going to be loosey goosey. We did as much research as we can. I probably shouldn't say that, but
no.
But I know enough about Art. I can talk about him, and I did do a little bio thing for him. But sorry if we get off.
Well, it's like we got to catch up a little bit too, though, Keith.
We do,
because I haven't even really seen you. So
Garrett and I hadn't seen. Yeah, Garrett
talk.
didn't even help us move, you guys. And you know what? I saw you put a message up where you said, I'm not helping Keith move.
Yeah, I did. I said it, dude. I was like, I'm not. Sorry. You're on your own. But so our next show, though, we're going to do over EVPs, right?
Yes, you guys. That's going to be a fun show. Awesome. We're going to do a show over just EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomena. It's, I'm sure you've heard of that. It's where you take a recorder, you go through a house, and you ask questions. You don't audibly hear it with your ears, but when you go back and listen to the tape, you'll hear it. And in the move, I'm gonna have to look for my EVPs.
Okay, well, let me just say, if you guys have heard of it, I've actually heard it, and like I was there when he recorded it, and they're all kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Because I remember you were just showing us one time. We're in your room, and you're like showing us how it was working. It was just like, is this seriously happening right now? Like, what the hell?
Right.
So yeah, that's gonna be an insane episode.
It'll be a fun episode. But yeah, like I said, tonight's gonna be kind of a loosey goosey show. We haven't seen you guys. We love you. We miss you guys. So it's fun. Just talk.
Absolutely.
Let's just talk tonight. Yeah. And I'm gonna actually got a couple people that's gonna call in that were huge Art Bells fans. One was a guy I went to high school with. He's usually on here all the time. His name's Randy Southwell. We're going to call him later. He said he probably won't be ready till a little bit after 8.
Cool.
And then, of course, what?
Well, hey, I just saw something in the chat that I thought was funny from Ham Repair. He says, I was shocked when Art couldn't tell Larry King what Y2K stood for during an interview in 1999, especially when that was the main topic back then.
That's hilarious.
That's great because also Single 7 called that.
Yeah.
Single 7 called that.
Single 7 did call that. But I'm going to play a clip. There's actually a clip I called Art Bell back in 2013. I went through all the shows, found it. I'll play a little clip of me talking to Art.
I'm jealous.
Well, Garrett talked to Art Bell in 20...
I'm just glad that you're willing to admit it.
What?
That I talked to him because people wouldn't believe it because we
Yeah, he
find
did.
it.
And I will eventually, and
We'll find it.
yeah, guys, I don't get me. I didn't say, well, let's just let Keith be heard talking to Art Bell. I went through. I had to go through every Midnight in the Desert episode, and not all of them are listed on YouTube because of copyright.
Right.
So, and I could not find the one you were in, and I was thinking, I bet you don't know who the guest was that night, or if it was, it had to have been Open Lines.
I
I'm
just
thinking.
called in, dude, to ask about Single 7. I had to.
Yeah, he was so short with you.
Okay, yeah, he hadn't heard from him.
Yeah. He had,
like, nope.
Yeah, and again, I don't. And again, I don't mean that as bad, but he would have done the same. Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry,
these
back out.
These time travelers have not returned. So anyway, Garrett talked about Single 7. Some of you guys who are big fans of this show, who've watched all the shows, we did a whole show.
2 shows.
On 2 shows, actually, on Single 7. That he was the time traveler that called in and said he's from the year
remarkable.
2063. 2063.
Yep.
And did
so believable, dude.
Very believable. Even Art was like, man, if this is a joke, you're really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like you said earlier, he did predict Y2K.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of a way I'm going to talk about in a little bit.
That
episode.
Yeah,
because that one's got me.
We're just going to kind of talk about our favorite episodes. I'm going to it's been a long time. I'm going to play you a clip. That, and I've drank a lot of coffee today.
Good, you had to.
But you know what? I don't think I had any Death Wish coffee.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Probably not so great for my heart. But anyway,
Play the damn clip.
Okay, so let's
I love this.
This is hang on.
This clip is great.
This is when I talked to Art in 2013, and we'll play it.
All right. So I guess make it and they will come, huh?
That's right. That's a very good way of saying
Keith in Oklahoma, you're on with the Ghostbuster ladies.
Hey, Art, Mega Roswell's to you.
Thank you.
Got 2 quick questions. One is, you always hear about these haunted places that have children, and I hate to think that children don't get a free pass to the other side.
Good point.
What can you say about that?
Yeah, all right. Well, they don't get a pass to the other side in all cases. One of the first child ghosts I came across was a young boy about 4 years old, and it was at the Glover Mansion. And what happened was he was always told not to play by the windows, the upper floor windows, and he didn't listen. And so he actually fell out the window and died. And because his last thought was, Mommy and Daddy won't love me anymore. And I could see him so clearly. He had little knickers on and a white shirt and suspenders. And the thought, Mommy and Daddy won't love me anymore, is what kept him stuck, because he did something wrong and he was guilty. And what I had to do for him was I called his parents back. I mean, what better way to help the child cross? And his parents came back and brought him through the tunnel. And he stopped to say goodbye. A lot of ghosts just go, but he was so cute because he turned and he said, thank you. It's like, wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, sometimes children that die in extreme situations like fire or suddenly can sometimes get stuck.
Okay, and my second question is, if you guys don't believe in demons, then what are these things that priests are driving out of people?
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, because the fact that you're saying that exorcisms have risen, I heard 700% lately.
That is correct.
Yeah, and so those, as far as we're concerned, they're shove-ins. They're not really demons. They're souls that shoved into human beings and were just creating all sorts of terrible things.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't alien shove-ins that somebody would perceive as a demon. Because if you've got
that's a very good point.
Very strange, bizarre alien being that shoves in, people would perceive that as a demon if it didn't look like a humanoid.
Oh, look, in real life, forget the other side. This side, you see an alien, and it's probably going to be so different that you're going to perceive it if it's
exactly,
as a demon anyway. If it's in your world to do that,
exactly.
If you're a very religious person, you're going to look at it that way.
Exactly, people are so predisposed to that and so judgmental that
Absolutely.
they perceived everything that they don't understand is bad and dark and evil. And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
All right, well, here's another one. Yeah, lizard. Here's another one for you, ladies.
Okay, so that was
fascinating.
That was my claim to fame of Art Bell.
That was fascinating.
It was.
Well done, Keith.
Yeah, and
hey, I would have loved to have mine afterwards because they were like, "Hey, have you heard back from Single 7?" He's like, "Nope, no, I haven't." And just stops.
You're done. I'm done with you.
Yeah. Dude, that was fascinating though.
It was, and it was so cool. He said, "Great question." I was like, "Yeah,
I did it. Yeah."
Yes, report it.
Oops.
Now, so did that? Because for me, like that, listening back to that,
I don't agree with everything she said, but go ahead.
Well, we've had those similar conversations with people on this exact show, though. So
Hey, Pammy.
that's kind of neat.
Hey, Pammy.
Yo, Pammy. She's not feeling well. Why are we yelling at her? Why are we screaming at her? What do you need?
Because I want the fan on. I'm hot.
I can turn the fan on.
Can you turn the fan on?
She's yelling at Pam. She's sick.
It makes me sound so horrible about my. Yeah, so that I don't know that I believe everything. Like she said, we don't all get a pass. I think like we talked about before. It's up to you.
For sure.
Whether you want to go.
Right.
With the children.
Yeah, like, oh, you don't get a pass. Sorry.
Right.
You died suddenly.
Yeah, and with the children.
And that's something you brought up a lot. Though,
yeah, I think children go right to the light. I think possibly if you have a kid ghost, it's another spirit posing as a child.
Right.
I don't think we have a God that would just let some poor kid be in limbo.
Right.
And I mean,
and that's essentially what she was saying, right? It's like the child's in limbo until somebody like her comes along and like is able to figure it out.
Yeah, so I had to disagree with her on that.
Yeah.
Big time.
Right.
I just don't. I don't think that at all.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Now I kind of, like you, as you know, my beliefs on demons and whatnot.
Right.
That I don't want to believe that there are demons, but I do believe there's just evil, mean spirits. If you were I was going to say D-I-C-K.
Yeah.
No bad language.
You can spell it.
So I think that you carry that over. I think, because think about what's the point of going to the other side if we have no free will. I mean, if we're just like robots going, I worship God, I worship God.
Yeah,
it's not going to be like that. I don't think.
Hey, and that's why that reincarnation episode we did, I thought was the best episode. I mean, outside of Bigfoot, obviously.
Yeah, and maybe all these lessons we learn about love and to love each other is so that we behave a little better on the other side. Maybe
for sure.
Because if you think, if you don't want to be stripped. I want to be Keith when I cross, right?
Yeah,
I want to be the same person. I don't want to be this different person. So I want to still have my personality, and I still want to have certain traits.
If you don't, I'm not hanging out with you.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll be like, Keith, you lost your personality up here.
Yeah, if I'm just,
what are you doing?
Hello, Garrett.
Yeah, I'll be like, later.
All monotone, but yeah, I think we do have probably even somewhat free will on the other side, and maybe this is what that precursor is.
It might be a bit confusing. And you
it probably is.
Yeah, you're like, what the
probably
hell?
very, very confusing.
Yeah, for sure.
But
so what year was that? Do you remember?
When I talked to him?
Yes.
That was 2013.
Okay, so a couple of years before I talked to him.
Yeah, and well, what happened? And since we're talking about art, he was called a professional retirer. He would go on a show. Hey, are you back?
Yeah, yay!
My lovely wife.
Hey, did you hear Keith yelling at you? Yeah. I defended your honor. I said, cannot scream at Pam while she's not feeling well.
Well, you know, I mean, we can't do the show without her, right?
Right.
Couldn't do it without her, Keith, and I wouldn't even try.
I love that, dude. So what was that from?
Oh, your headphones. You have no headphones, do you? I think they're laying in the bed.
Got it. Don't worry.
He'll get it. He'll get it. He'll get it.
Hey, explain where you got that clip from.
Where I got what clip? Huh? Oh, that's a good. I thought I put it in over here, but maybe. Oh, Pam may not have headphones tonight. Well, I mean, we guys, sorry, we just moved and
This is great.
and everything's packed. So I thought is it out there? I know it's here. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, I did good.
I love our show.
I do too.
I think this is amazing.
Yeah, we're just who we are.
Hey, and
So
dude, this is quality. This is amazing.
let me turn you on. Okay, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello?
I can hear you.
And I
Can
can.
you-
Like,
Can you hear me?
She's
Yeah.
like, unfortunately, I can hear you guys.
Unfortunately, yeah. You know, probably what it was.
See, I can't stop hearing them.
Our studio is an extra room connected to our master bedroom. So she's in there laying down. She's probably like, hell with it.
God.
I might as well come in. All right. So, honey, you want that? That's a diaphragm mic. So you want to turn it around, put it back up.
He's nerding.
Or
He's
side-
nerding out.
Too high.
We can you do it
Sound
sideways.
Sideways.
There you go. Oh, don't hear.
Sideways.
Oh, she just chipped a tooth.
Yeah. Another one.
Another one. Okay. Okay.
That
So
clip,
yeah, there's a bunch of clips I've got where Art says Keith says my name, and it's not because I knew Art at all. It was basically Art had a producer named Keith Rowland,
Okay, yeah.
and
okay.
so Keith Rowland, like he would go, Keith, are we off the air? You know, so
yeah.
or and in fact that came from an interview. He right before he went back on air on Midnight in the Desert, he
Okay.
was promoting it. So he did a short video with him and Keith talking about it. And so that's where that came. He was talking about his wife, Erin, and he was saying, you know, how's Erin been real supportive with this? And he's like, hey, I couldn't do it without her, Keith.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's where,
You cut it?
I cut it. Yeah.
Okay, so he started in. Let me ask you some questions really fast. He started in political radio.
Yes.
This came in, and then so did he make immediately like, or was there a gradual change, or did he just say I'm going to start talking about UFOs and?
No, I think he talked to, and again, man, this is.
No, that's
God,
fine. Yeah. Just,
yeah, like I said, I didn't have time to do my research. But anyway, yeah, I think he had talked to a producer about, you know, hey, let's change the format.
Yeah.
And they called it, I can't remember what it was called before, but then they called it Coast to Coast.
Okay.
Now, Coast to Coast is still on the air, and George Norrie took that over.
Okay.
Which him and George never, they butted heads
Okay.
a lot.
Do you think Art like probably butted heads with a lot of people?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
He's like a little bit of a genius, man.
There were, well, you know, and I don't know the whole story, but there was like, when Art came back in 2015 to start Midnight in the Desert, he started lining up his guests. Well, Coast to Coast started calling those people and telling them to come on their show. And so,
Okay, so Midnight in the Desert and Coast to Coast, two separate things.
two separate shows.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah, Art went and started his own network
Oh, okay,
called
cool.
Dark Matter, which is still going on now.
How badass is that?
And so,
Dark Matter.
yeah, so Heather Wade, she took over his spot after he had left. And God, we could do a whole
Not a
show
fan.
just on that.
Not a fan.
Of Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you listened to her?
No, I just from what you said.
Yeah, she's
No idea who
Well,
she is.
If you can't say anything nice.
But
no. I'm not going to say anything
I'm
bad
just
about.
saying I'm on Keith's team.
Hey, props up to Heather
I
for
don't even,
taking.
I don't even know
she
who
had.
she is. I'm just on Keith's
I'll
team.
just say this. Look, she had big shoes to fill.
Well, absolutely.
Big.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I would. I mean, you know, anybody stepping into Art's shoes, that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of pressure.
Oh my
and
God.
Art had his following, so of course, they're not going to accept this female, not because she's female, not
Right,
saying
right.
that, ladies,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're not. It could have
Well,
been a guy.
anybody.
They
Yeah,
wouldn't have
yeah.
accepted anybody. You
Well,
know,
how could you,
So they
dude?
gave her a lot of hell
Yeah.
for a long time, to the point where she'd have breakdowns on the radio. She would like started canceling shows.
Yeah, but she's still doing it.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a big thing. Is she canceled constantly, and then and then finally, people were just giving up on her, and me included. You know, I tried to give her a chance. and she kept like just wouldn't show up, or she'd go, "We have a repeat today."
Right.
Now, Art kind of did the same thing sometimes.
Well, towards the end, right? Or
even
would he just drop off?
Even with Coast to Coast, and
but he went every night, did he not?
He was there most every night.
Yeah.
But there,
can you imagine?
Yeah, but also to Art's defense, he had, like I said, he had horrible back pain. He was a 3-pack smoker.
Right.
So he started developing COPD, which was really bad. And towards the end of his days, people were saying that when they would talk to Art, that it was even him just talking,
right,
he would get out of breath. So and there's a whole story about why Art quit. Some guy shot at him with a .22,
right? Yeah,
threatened his family, and so he said, "Hey, this isn't worth it," and that's why Heather Wade was put in that position. Now, some people may ask, well, why would they want to shoot Art? Art talked a lot about the government, a lot about secret black ops, UFOs, Area 51,
S4.
And Art also, there were times when his communication system would just go out.
Right.
When he was talking about something that happened all the time, which leads me in to the next clip I want to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a well-known clip for you Art Bell fans. There was they call it the frantic caller of Area 51.
Okay.
Art had a line just for if you worked at Area 51.
Right.
This is your line. Call me.
Yeah, he really wanted somebody to reach out.
Right.
Yeah.
So and of course everybody knows about Bob Lazar.
Even in that, he was like, "Send me an email."
Yeah.
If you want to be another Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
Bob's like, "No, don't do it.
Send me a fax."
He's like, "Don't do it. Don't do it."
So what we're gonna do? Let me see where that's at. So anyway, you got the guys out there. Randy, I'm sure you are familiar with this guy. And there was someone else, Georgina, I think she's a big fan. But anyway, so we're gonna play a clip, and then I'm gonna explain to you guys a little bit about who this person was.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Reported out there. We'll think of something. I appreciate your call, sir.
Yeah.
On my Area 51 line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharged.
I started getting...
Well, this was certainly interesting. We are now on a backup system, everybody. A backup system. And that one caller that I had on the air, I guess we were about in the middle of his transmission, his telephone call, which was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. And the entire transmitting system by satellite went down here, and we were notified we were off the air. And it would appear to be from this end and some sort of massive transmit failure. So we are now using a backup system to be on the air. And not that I would normally believe this kind of thing, mind you, but I can't help but wonder if somebody zapped us in some way. We'll find out. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Art Bell?
Yes.
What?
Okay,
so initially I was like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you drink too much Death Wish coffee.
Yeah.
Well, as you probably missed, Pam, I did not have any Death Wish coffee today.
No, I didn't miss it.
I had on cue for your coffee and snack needs and gasoline.
And they also have a dog park.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a famous one. So
Wow,
I noticed Randy said he remembered that one.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So the thing about that was, okay, so a year later, this guy calls and he gets through and he says, Art, he goes, I was Area 51 caller.
Okay.
And he said, that was for your entertainment. He goes, I study theater.
Yeah.
I do theater. And I thought, well, I think I'll just call your show. He goes, I've called your show before doing a few characters or whatever.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll say this, Art. He said, the funny thing was, he said, right before it cut off, or right when it cut off, he said, I went into my normal voice and I went into an English accent. I said, for your entertainment, Mr. Bell, that was for your fans. Wow. And he said, but it got cut off. Oh. Now, the satellites go down as a coincidence at the same time this guy calls, who supposedly is working for Area 51. Right. So for years, actually, people didn't even believe this guy when he called back.
Right.
They said, no, that's not him.
Yeah.
And how did the satellites go down? There's something to it, or he's been threatened by the government to call Art to explain this.
Right.
Out. So even now they don't believe him. So 10 years later, the guy calls Jimmy Church's radio.
Okay.
Tells the story to Jimmy. And I think Jimmy believed it, but he still had people saying, oh, that doesn't sound, it sounded, the guy even went into character for Art.
Right.
Sounded just like him.
Yeah.
But there were people going, that's not him.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But he said when I did that thing, he goes, what freaked me out for 17 years, Jimmy, when he's talking to Jimmy Church, he said the satellites went down.
Yeah.
And so he said, I had nothing to do with that. He goes, I was just calling as a joke, as a bit.
Yeah.
And so it was just weird.
So what do you think it would be?
Well, you have other fans. Okay, well, you've got other fans saying, okay, so there was talk, and I wouldn't doubt it, that government did listen to Art Bell's show.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Because there was a lot of sensitive material about, there's a lot of people coming on who were talking about UFOs, and Bob Lazar.
Oh, yeah.
Gave away a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
And
and he also refrained from a lot. Yeah.
Right. And he was on the radar.
Oh, for
Art
sure.
was on the radar.
For sure, yeah.
So there's a lot of people that have a school of thought that, okay, when the government heard this guy talking, they don't know who he is.
That's what
maybe he really worked at Area 51, kill the satellite that's feeding.
Just go ahead and kill it, yeah.
Kill the
why
satellite.
not?
Right.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, that's a possibility. But
That's
could be
bizarre, though.
Yeah, you got to admit it's a little strange. I mean, I think the guy was. I do think it was theater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
It was almost overacting. The shaking and the crying.
Well, and he
all
couldn't
that.
initially respond when he was like, "Okay, well, give us something quick." He's like, "Whoa,
I think he was saying that in response to the guy said. They have a triangulation. So they're going to cut me off. So I said, "Well, get it out fast."
And then the guy couldn't.
Right.
He's like,
he's just making up stuff as he went.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that the satellites went down. So, but honestly, I bet you money during Art Bell's career at Coast to Coast, he was probably being listened to.
Oh, definitely.
Because he had several times where he'd be talking about something and then transmission gone. Just just
well, even on the Bob Lazaro interview, he was like, okay, so let's talk about the SWAT coming in. And Bob Lazaro's like, I got to stop you right there. I can't. My lawyer told me not to. We can't go into that. He's like, I could talk to you for 4 hours about that. So what does that tell us? That Lazaro obviously got rated. Lazar.
You're making him Italian.
Yeah. No, there's a movie on Prime about Lazaro. So
Lazar.
Yeah, no, Lazaro.
Lazaro?
It's a movie I just watched. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Lazar. Okay. So that tells us though that he got rated right before that. So obviously they're going to be listening into the show.
Yeah.
So I mean that's just
Yeah, he had the element 115.
Is that what they're rating him about?
That's what they're rating about. It's an element that came from a wreckage of a UFO,
right?
That we didn't have,
right.
And they were recreating it. I think in Germany, finally, they were able to recreate this thing,
right?
Possibly, and now it's.
But he had it from S4, right?
Yeah,
or Area 51.
S4, which is for you guys who don't know, that's the area of Area 51. That's supposed to be where the aliens are at.
So the government was definitely, watching. When we've talked all about that. So even with Art Bell, having people like that are sensitive on.
Yeah. Well, like Randy, I just noticed Randy, he had the 2 government officials come into his house who talked to him, about some things.
Who, Lazar or Art?
No, Art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He had, let's see, we'll find out. He said Art had a visit from a couple of feds telling him you will not talk about this.
Interesting.
So, yeah, he was threatened all the time a lot.
Man.
And so I think, and Art was kind of scared.
Yeah, I mean, naturally.
Yeah, and towards the end of his life, like I said, someone actually shot at him. And everybody thought it was Art just coming up with an excuse to get off the radio. Because he was known as a professional retirer, I think is what they called him.
Yeah.
Because he was on Coast to Coast, and then it was almost like he got bored and he would just quit.
Right.
And there'd be times when he'd say, "Oh, I'm having bad back pain," and he was a ham radio user.
Right.
And there'd be other people who were ham radio users going, "Hey, as soon as Art got off Coast to Coast, he's on the ham radio talking."
Yeah.
So, but you know what? Hey, people get bored and.
Man.
I'm sure he got a little tired. Probably needed a vacation.
He was eccentric, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Very
eccentric. But he went, he did Coast to Coast, Dreamland. And it did always kind of was a problem with every show Art was on. Towards the end of it, he would, all of a sudden it was a replay.
Right,
or
right.
Art's not going to be in today.
Right, yeah.
We got George Norrie coming in. Ian Punnett would come in. And so he had a lot of people. And finally, he just retired. And then we'll talk a little bit about Syria. He went to Syria.
He would get that itch.
Yeah, I think that's what would happen.
Yeah, he would get
it's
that
like the
itch.
same thing as I'll admit, like as a musician, doing the Beatle thing. There's days I just get burnt. I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
I don't want to do. And so when we get shows, I dread going to the shows. Sometimes it's like I'm ready to give this up.
I'm a performer.
But then when you go a certain amount of time, you kind of do get that itch where you're like, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Dude, I had to take a break from training in the gym because I look at it like as a performance. I would go in there and perform for the parents and the kids, and so then I stepped away from it. All of a sudden, be like, man, I got to get back. I got to get back on the court.
Yeah, so I think,
so that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that.
Well, I was asking earlier, like when he would do a show, it'd be like 5 hours, wouldn't it, or longer?
What's that?
When he would do a show.
Oh my God, he did 5 hours. I mean, can you imagine us sitting here, till 7 till 1, 2, 3 till like midnight or 1 o'clock? Yeah.
But it's like when you do a show, you're there prepping and everything before. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, even when we do like the British invasion shows, it's 6-7 hours. It's more than that because we go in at about 2 o'clock, get set up, sound check, dressing room, do the makeup, all that stuff. But then the time you're on stage is less than the time you're preparing for the show.
Right. It's kind of like me with training. That's why I'm trying to draw a parallel between like what we do and then with what Art does. Yeah. Because it's funny that he would get off and then all of a sudden they'd catch him on the ham.
Right.
It's the same with you. Like, like I get off work and I like go home and watch some soccer games. Or like you get off, you're like, man, I'm done with my show the next day. You're like tuning your guitar or something. So
we all,
he was a lover of the art of being Art, I guess.
Right. He loved it, but like anybody else, after you do it for so long, and I'm sure there was times he did some of the most boring interviews. He didn't want to do them, and just like, oh God,
Well, someone just said he was on Larry King. So
Yeah, he was.
Larry King was cool.
Yeah, and well, he was also who was it? Not Tom. Yeah, Tom Brokaw actually interviewed him.
Rogan
and Whitley Strieber together.
Rogan just talked about him. I think it was on the Elon Musk episode.
Yeah,
like he just did it. He was talking about
Art Bell had Rogan on as a guest.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think but anyway, what I was getting at. Sorry, guys. Went off on a tangent there.
You're good.
He would do these shows, but people started getting frustrated because, like, when he did his big comeback in 2013, he went on Sirius Radio, Dark Matter. That was the name of the show.
Freaking great name.
Yeah, he did 4 months and he quit. 4 months, he was gone.
I'm good.
Well, and the problem was he was, and I do get this because I remember back in the day when you had the little Sirius radios that you buy.
You had one, yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't have your antenna just right, if you had the one inside, wherever that satellite's at, you couldn't pick up anything.
That sucks.
So
and
what
you're
would
paying
happen?
For it, yeah.
Right. So his followers were constantly hounding him, going, "Art, we paid $150 for the year,
right?
And I'm getting maybe 20 minutes to your show, and it's going out." And he was concerned about that.
And he's a radio guy,
right? So he went to Sirius. He said, "Hey, you guys got to fix this."
Right.
He goes, all my followers are buying these radios, they're paying for your expensive subscriptions.
Right, yeah.
And yet they can't hear me. And so Art came up with an idea. He said, "Hey, I'll tell you what." He goes, "Why don't we do this, Sirius Radio?" He said, "Why don't you let me let's stream the show free for a while."
Cool.
Live. So that all my listeners can hear it. And until you get this thing fixed. And when you get that fixed, then we go back to the subscription. He goes, "I guarantee you, I've got a lot of followers. I got a lot of followers, and it'll make you some money." They said no.
What?
They said no.
Yeah, so he's like, "Screw you guys, man."
And I think Art also was a little disappointed when he came back. I think he really thought his million followers would be like that,
right?
And it wasn't. It was, a few here, and it kind of gradually grew again. But
kind of like Life After Life.
Yeah, but his was on a little bigger scale.
Okay.
So I think when Art was looking at the numbers and he's not seeing millions of people,
right?
Which usually that's what when Coast to Coast was on, he was getting 4 or 5 million listeners and
wild.
And so I think he thought instantly this will happen. I think it frustrated him a little bit and again, Coast to Coast is free. This is a paid subscription.
Right.
So that made a big difference. There's people like, I'm not gonna pay for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And it was getting bootlegged anyway. Every night when Art would come on Sirius, someone would bootleg it, throw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
So
the thing was, and that was one of Art's thing. He goes at Sirius. He's like, "Guys, why look? They're bootlegging this anyway. It's not like so. Let's use this as a business model.
He's a smart dude
to get my followers
makes sense.
back for free." And he said, "I guarantee you, once they hear me on the radio for a while, they'll pay.
Yeah.
And we'll be good to go." And they still. So get this.
Okay.
So they said no, right? So so they cancel Art Bell. He has a non-compete clause, so he can't go on the radio anywhere for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's is like, "God, we got to wait another 2 years. We waited 10 years for him to come back or whatever, or about 3 or 4 years actually, because I think 2010 is when he left Coast to Coast completely." And so, guess who they start streaming for free for a while?
Howard?
Coast to Coast.
Are you serious?
Yes. And that hurt Art so bad.
Oh my God, dude.
That hurt Art so bad because he started Coast to Coast. Without Art Bell, there would have been no Coast to Coast.
That's unbelievable, man.
But
so just
within a few months later, they pick up Coast, right?
Yeah.
And they stream Coast for free, like
so
exactly what
up,
Art had asked for.
You know what? That's a good idea, Art. I think we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they should have
did.
So
did that not break?
Because the thing was, George. A lot of people don't like George Norrie. Art was the man, and Art's hard to replace. George does a good job. I like George; he's fine, but Art was the man.
Right.
Yeah. It was just that was a horrible blow to Art, to do something like that.
So what did he? Do we know what he did between 2010 and 2013?
He said he wanted to spend time with his family and get away from radio. He retired. So we all hoped, like, okay, he'll get the itch. He'll come back, right? And
he
did, but only for 4 months. You know, I think it was. I think he went on. I think in September. His very last show was October 31st. He called it. You know, it used to be called Ghost to Ghost.
Okay.
When he did the Halloween show, well, he called this one Spooky Matter.
Okay.
And it was just okay, and you kind of tell he wasn't really up like he usually was.
Right,
and then at the end of that show, he announced to everybody, "This is my last show."
Oh no! Yeah.
He goes, you know, the Sirius Radio is not doing anything about this. I can't have a show if my people can't hear me.
Right.
And he had a good point.
Absolutely.
So I mean, so I totally get that. So anyway, we'll move on to, we got the 2-year no compete clause, right? So I was when Art came back at 213, it was like, he announced it on my birthday, July 11th.
Cool. And you got on though in 2013.
No, yeah, I did.
So you got on.
I was in.
Wow, yeah.
I was in. I think the last. There's 3 more shows I think after the one I was on. So thank God I got on. So anyway, so we had to wait 2 years, and the whole time I was kind of communicating with everybody. He goes, "Hey, I'm going to start my own network."
Okay.
He goes, "That seems like the only way to do this. He goes, "I can stream it for free for everybody."
Cool.
You know, and we will. He goes, "It'll be a paid prescription, but it was only like $5."
Easy.
I think it might even started at $3. It was he made it affordable for everybody.
Yeah.
And he said, "Just stay tuned. Me and Keith Rowland are working on this. We're
and Keith Sharp.
Right? Yeah. I wish I'd be doing that show now."
Yeah.
No. So anyway, so then the big launch happened. Art's back. It's exciting. And then you can kind of tell about 2 months into it, he's getting a little grumpy.
Yeah.
A little grumpier.
The writing's on the wall.
And so we're like, and everybody, we all knew, he's like, okay, he's going to quit again.
Yeah.
You know? And
wait, so that was at the end of the year 2000.
He made it for, let's see, I think that show launched in September, and I think his last show was around March of the following year. So he hung in there for a while.
Okay.
But you know, in his defense, he had someone shooting at him.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember listening live when he heard something outside his door.
Yeah.
He was talking to a very distinguished person, and he said, "Excuse me, I need to check my back door." Yeah.
Okay.
And sure enough, he had opened the door, and he did see someone, and they ran.
And he's like living out in the middle of nowhere, right?
He is out in Pahrump, Nevada. On the other side is Area 51.
Okay.
He's in Area 51's backyard.
Vegas.
So he's in the desert, man. Yeah. He's got some neighbors though.
Right.
The neighbors, the time that someone shot at him, he said he heard a shot. He hit the ground. His neighbors heard the shot. The neighbors called the police. Art called the police from his cell phone, laying on the ground. Thankfully, he wasn't hit. He was getting phone calls constantly about saying, "You need to stop your show or your family's going to be in trouble." So he announced, "I'm not doing this. It's not worth it." And so that's when his producer, Heather Wade, took over. But,
oh my God!
Yeah,
just wild. He's a wild man.
Right. So, but then you had a whole lot of people thinking Art made up that whole thing because everybody was so used to Art doing about 4 months, and he quit.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, I don't think, believed it. However, people were saying, "Hey, we got the report from the sheriff's office. There was a complaint, made by Art." So and look, there were some things the government probably like, "Hey, shut up."
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Don't be talking about that stuff.
Well, and just when you have millions of people listening to you.
Yeah.
And the kind of show he had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was all over the United States, and I think you pick it up throughout the world. So there's millions and millions of people listening to the show. So when he
talked about some crazy things.
He
had
did.
Some crazy people on, right?
He did. And he was just it was so cool. It's like, I just remember like when I played in bands years ago, like you're breaking down your equipment, you got that long ride home.
Right.
Well, you quit playing at 2 a.m, so Art Bell's on.
Right. Yeah.
So I listened to Art Bell on my way home.
That's so awesome.
Live. And so I have those good memories of that. And there's other musicians. It was funny because about a year ago, someone said the same thing. They said, "Man, I remember those long nights after gigging, I'd listen to Art Bell on the way home." I was like, "Hey, I used to do that."
Yeah. So you got crazy musicians listening to you.
Oh,
All
yeah.
sorts of people.
Everybody
Yeah.
listened to it. So it was a very interesting show. He was a great guy.
Hey, did you happen to get the clip of the guy that calls in from the Single 7?
No.
Okay.
No.
That would have given people. Well, go back and listen to that episode. That'll give you an idea of some of the people that called in. at
Right,
times.
right. So at this juncture of the show, let's talk about, you and I talk about maybe one of our favorite shows, and then I've got a couple of guests I'm going to call.
Yeah, for sure.
And so your all time. I bet I can guess it.
You're gonna say Single 7.
Single 7.
I mean, it is. That's what made me a
name,
believer.
name
in
your
time
top.
travel.
Do you have 3 or
No, I was
2?
just gonna talk. No, I don't, because
Okay.
I've just listened to clips, like, and been around it with you. So that's
Yeah.
why this show is gonna be so fascinating for me, is because you introduced them to me.
The show's almost over.
Oh, yeah. Well, it has been great, and so no, I loved the Single 7 one, man. It's like it's so unbelievable.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I mean, it's so believable.
We just
Sorry,
had-
let's just say that it's so believable.
Yeah, it's very believable. So what was your favorite part about that show?
Everything, dude.
For
I
me,
mean,
it was the fact that, like we talked earlier, that Art couldn't poke a hole
I
in
know,
anything,
and he was trying.
and he was really trying to. He even like flipped the year on the guy.
Yeah,
And the guy said and corrected Art.
Yes.
And he's like,
Yeah.
"Boy, you're good. You're
Yeah,
good."
he said it multiple times.
Yeah.
You're good. Well, and the fact that he's talking about
acronyms.
well, yeah, but also neuro augmentation, because even Elon Musk was talking about that 3 months ago. Still
Yeah.
talking about it. It was actually cool what he said, by the way, really quick. He was saying that they're not just going to plug a wire into your head and all of a sudden you're a computer. They're going to use it for things like, a paraplegic or something,
Yeah.
where they try to fix certain parts of the brain. But yeah, Single 7 was talking about neuroaugmentation back in 1998.
Yeah.
Was it 98? It was 98, right?
It was 1998.
1998. He's talking about neuroaugmentation, man. That stuff's crazy. I don't
Yeah.
even know who was talking about that.
Yeah,
back
and they asked him about the Y2K, and he said,
He-
yeah, because he was funny. He's like, well, you got to remember that was from my history class.
then.
Art.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I didn't do that.
It just kind of flared up and like went away.
I didn't do that great in history. He said,
Yeah.
but from what I remember, he said it was just going to be one of these things like the sky's falling, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And people are going to go into panic. He said, and I remember he bringing up that there'd be certain cults,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah,
and there
dude.
was, that well-known cult
Right.
that I can't remember what they're
I
called.
can't either. Yeah.
But
Well known.
huh?
Well known.
Well known.
Yeah.
What were they?
What were they?
But they were for the time.
Go back to sleep, Pam.
Yeah, Pam.
Yeah, why don't you go back to bed?
Aren't you not? You're not feeling well, right?
Yeah.
No, but so all those things though, he like nailed it. And the
He
fact
did.
that I think it's important because I love a good interviewer, right? Like I think if you really listen to Stephen Colbert, like Stephen Colbert's a really good interviewer.
Yeah, Howard
like,
Stern. Howard Stern's
Stern's
a
the
great
best, man.
Yeah,
like,
he's awesome. And Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah. And so it's always good to listen to like articulate people that can conduct a really good interview and ask good questions. And Art did that.
Yeah.
And Single 7 was on it, dude.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and getting back to talking about Art's interviewing style, man, there is like you could have a quantum physics scientist,
Unbelievable, man.
and Art would have questions for him and would understand what he's talking
Right.
about. And because I would think, putting myself in that position, I'd be
yeah,
like,
we're chimps.
I would be an
Honestly.
idiot.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even
yeah.
know what to ask the guy.
Yeah, I
And was
know.
like, what?
We'd be just reading from our
Yeah,
favorite.
we'd be going. And this is before Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Before he had to actually.
Yeah, no,
he,
even to that point, yeah. I mean, that's before
he was so intelligent.
exactly. Well, he was eccentric. I mean, he would know about those things.
Right.
Well, and that goes back into like the fact that his longevity. I mean, the amount. I always talk about that with like Joe Rogan, dude. He's so well prepared.
Yeah.
He's kind of like us, right?
Yeah.
Like us, very well prepared and on point. But for a Single 7 not to be able to break him, or for Art Bell not to be able to break Single 7, and that was a pretty lengthy interview.
Yeah. It was. Compared to others, not really.
Yeah.
It was
But
about an hour and a
for-
half, and Art
hey,
sometimes talked 2 to 3 hours with
I
people.
know, but 90 minutes I'm saying for Single 7.
Yes, yeah.
For 90 minutes to be, dude, on
if he was,
point.
yeah, if that guy was faking that for 90 minutes, I mean, he had to done his. I mean,
Well, and didn't we find a clip of him maybe calling in previously? He did talk about the gamma
yes,
ray, or
he called Madman Markham, which we're gonna call Randy here in a minute. That was one of his favorite
okay, good. I was
episodes
hoping so. Yeah.
of that kid who was stealing Transformers and making a Jacob's Ladder, and he goes, and I want to.
I knew that would be on my
And I want to
list.
walk through it.
Yeah, I can't wait to
And
hear
Art
this,
was
yeah.
like, you might want to
cannot
think
wait to talk
that
Randy.
over before you.
Yeah.
But but here's the funny thing about that interview. You know what? I'm going to wait till
okay. So because the guy calls in Single 7.
Single 7 calls in. He goes, "Well, here, let me tell you how maybe you can improve that."
Right, beta rays.
Yeah, right. And if you listen to the voice, it's the same guy.
It is.
So it may, but we don't know how long. I'm not saying it was an actor. I'm just saying we don't know how long Single 7 supposedly had been here.
Hey, I am just a little sidebar here. Right after I get done, I have a test due tomorrow for University of Greenwich on is facial recognition equivalent to voice recognition. So I'm going to take this test tonight. It's going to take an hour and a half. It's going to take 90 minutes for me to complete this.
Falling.
Wait, what's? Yeah, I got you. And so, hey, after I take this test, if I do, I'm going to get the results immediately. If I end up being really good, I'm going to go listen to those 2 episodes. Because we did have a little debate. We're like, is that him?
I think it was.
And to me, it sounds a lot like him. It just sounds like he's more relaxed.
Right.
Like he had just arrived. And then the crazy thing is, it's like 3 years later is when Single 7 calls. And it's like he's been through war. Like to me.
Well, I think at that point, if this thing was true, he was at that point where he was ready to run. He was on the run and he was ready to tell people what was getting ready to happen.
Yeah. And it was almost like that first episode. He was so like excited to be.
Yeah.
In 1994, or you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I can tell you how to improve that. You want to improve it?
Yeah.
And then on the second one, he's like, this is what's happening, guys. They're, we're at war here.
Right,
so, yeah, I'm excited. That was my favorite one, dude.
That was Single 7 was good. Well, Randy, I'm getting ready to call you.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about the Madman Markham. What happened to our thing?
That's right there. But that was. That was a Madman. It was so crazy because this kid was going around stealing Transformers because he needed enough power,
of course,
to run this thing, right? Yeah. So, and then he ends up getting arrested. It's funny because one of the shows that he was on, his parole officer called in and talked with Art Bell.
That's cool.
And so, and you can tell even the parole officer liked the guy.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's like, look, Mark, he goes, you can start a fire with this thing.
He said that?
Yeah, and, and plus you can't steal, know.
Yeah.
And
they're expensive. Those cost things.
And stuff, very expensive indeed. All right.
Call Randy. I'm excited.
Let's see. We're going to try to call my buddy Randy here. I better turn him down. He's loud.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
What's up, Randy?
Don't say anything dirty.
Right.
Don't say anything dirty.
No bad language.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Rick and Brad say, don't say anything dirty. You're on the air.
Hey, Randy.
All right.
Randy, I think the last time I saw you was at a show Keith was doing at Big Dick's.
No bad language.
No. That's the name of the. Do you remember that place?
Yeah, there's a bar called. We have a bar here called Big Dick's, and I played there.
Big Dick's Roadhouse, man.
Big Dick's Roadhouse, and now
Randy was there.
Yeah, I think they've changed it.
Did they?
Yeah, well, it got busted for gambling.
Yeah, I just remember being.
Hey, Randy, they had slot machines and all sorts of stuff in a back room that we didn't even know about.
Wow.
I
guess we weren't cool enough to go back there. Huh?
I guess not.
We weren't
I
cool
guess
enough.
not.
That
A few
sucks.
people knew about it. But anyway, hey, man. So talk about your favorite episode. Again, let me tell you, Randy's a guy I went to high school with. Randy had been listening to Art Bell before me.
Right.
And so your favorite one is Madman Markham. Is that right?
That's right. That's the one. Once I heard him talking about what he was doing at Jacob's Ladder, he started out with a car battery. Sounded like in a coat hanger, and I always wanted to replicate that. I couldn't figure out how to do it without shocking myself.
Did you just say a car battery in a coat hanger?
Coat hanger. Yeah, coat hanger and a car battery.
That's what he said, yeah.
Hey, this kid was from Missouri.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it is.
Fascinating.
You should have called me, Randy. We could have shocked each other.
Yeah. I always wanted to repeat it, but I couldn't figure out how to do it without electrocuting myself. So.
Right.
That's the one that always stuck with me. And then I didn't know what he was going to do, how he was going to, upgrade it with 6 transformers.
Yeah.
That go up on the power pole. I mean, that looks just like too much power.
Yeah.
Uncontrolled all at once.
Yeah, and he was going to walk through it.
Wait, did you say 6?
Yeah. 6. And so, Art was like, well, what are you going to throw through it? He goes, well, at first I thought about a cat. And then Art goes, yeah, Art's a... Art.
We sent monkeys to space.
Yeah, well, that's right. We sent monkeys to space, but no, Art loved cats. He was like, no.
Yeah.
Let's try a screw or something. You know?
Yeah.
So Randy, did you ever hear the follow up when he called Art back on Midnight in the Desert?
No, I never got to hear that one. I always wondered what happened to him. All I knew is he got arrested.
Yeah, he got arrested.
Never knew what happened to him after that.
Yeah, Art thought he died.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and you know,
I always just wondered what would happen if he had done that. 'Cause I always wondered if he was really time traveling, like Art said, or if he was actually doing something like transporting, like what they do on Star Trek. It just moved objects from one space to another space,
right?
Rather than time travel.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what that was. When he came back on Art's show, he had mentioned that he somehow ended up in Ohio. So
that sounds more like an uncontrolled transport.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is this kid had no idea.
Yeah, but still, that's amazing.
Yeah. So he ended up from Missouri to Ohio or whatever. So ended up in some field and.
But so he built it, right?
He built it, yes.
Okay. And then zapped himself? Jumped into it?
Yeah, he went through it. The funny thing was, Art knew how dangerous this was.
Of course.
But Art egged him on.
Just in case.
He's like, yeah.
Like, what if it works?
Yeah, exactly. That's what Art was like. Yeah. He goes, Madman, this is dangerous, but however,
you gotta have show material.
Something good for.
Because didn't this guy know about like quantum mechanics and stuff like that, or no?
He was.
He did.
I mean,
right?
let me tell you.
Pretty well versed in physics.
Yeah, he was, and let me tell you something. I mean, he had that Southern draw. So he sounds like a hillbilly somewhat. But he was a very, very intelligent kid.
Absolutely.
And that's what would crack me up is Art would say, "Yeah, why don't you try that?" And it's like, but on the other hand, Art previously had been talking about how dangerous you could fry yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much electricity and amps going through this thing.
Right.
You don't need that many amps. Amps is what kills you, right?
Right.
So it's like Art's like, yeah, walk through it. See what happens.
So is that the episode where Single 7 called in and said,
yes.
"Hey, try"? Okay, wow.
I think Madman did 2 because Art had been looking for him. And Art said, "I just thought you probably fried yourself and you were dead."
Right.
Or you actually got successful and you hadn't came back or something. But so he did 2 shows, and that I think it was the first show that he had called Single 7. We recognized his voice and was telling Madman how to, why don't you use this sort
beta? Or whatever.
What was
it
that
was like
word?
beta rays or something.
Yeah, some type of rays.
And if Larry would know, but he said that same thing again.
Yeah, and then Art said something. Well, no, he's using RF waves.
Right. So, corrected him. Yeah, and Art even brought that up in the Single 7 one. Well, why don't you just use RF waves?
yeah, exactly. So
is Madman Markham still alive? Do we know?
As far as we know, yes, he's still alive if he's not in prison. So
okay.
That's likely.
Hopefully not. But all right, so. Randy, when you were driving a truck, were you listening to Art Bell?
Yes, I was. That's not where I started, but I sure made a lot of long drives listening to Art Bell. And you got 4 hours, and you got 4 hours of him, 10 hours to drive. It sure does make the night go easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people said. He made my nights go by faster. I've
seen that in the chat.
Yeah, so also even people who just had mundane jobs, worked the graveyard shift, sitting around there just listening to Art. And
that's where I started.
Yeah, let me tell you this, Randy. This is kind of crazy. This guy has started a YouTube channel. I don't know if you're familiar with video games, but there's a 18-wheeler truck simulator game that you can play, and this guy basically would videotape him driving on his computer screen, listening to Art Bell. This guy got up to about 500,000 viewers real fast.
Wow!
Just really quick. And he was doing nothing but just driving his truck and listening to Art. But I get that attraction though.
I remember sitting behind you and being like, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah, do I?
But that video you were showing me, I was like, "This is," but it was getting that many views. It was
yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, but I think but it has that mystique to it where, he's driving through a snowy night. It's dark,
absolutely.
And an Art Bell's on, so it kind of draws you in.
And it was great when we were traveling over the summer and you sent us the single 7 one.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, thank God, dude.
Yeah,
it was something so like refreshing to listen to.
It was so entertaining,
Randy, you said that's not how you started. So how did you start?
Somebody had told me about him, but I could never listen to him because he was on at night. And when I went on nights at the concrete plant I worked at, it was just me. So I had to do something to fill the time while I was stud welding, cutting plates, steel plates for the concrete work. So I remembered somebody telling me about it. I got on the AM radio dial and fished around until I found somebody talking, and that was Art. So every night at midnight, I'd turn my radio on while I was cutting plates or sawing or whatever I was doing, making for the concrete the next day.
Yeah, Randy, that would have been, if you would have known about Art back in about 95 when you were working at KFC Industries, that would have been perfect for you.
That would have been perfect.
I was just thinking about that because, because I never even knew you listened to Art Bell. Until I heard, when I started talking about it on the show and I saw you comment sometimes about it. So I thought, man, I bet he was listening to Art back in the KFC day. Not Kentucky Fried Chicken, but there was a
the valve.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it?
What was it, Randy? A valve?
Right. Yeah, we made oil well valves, shut-off valves for oil line.
Yeah.
Hey,
I worked in the tool room for the machinist. I had a little radio back there, but it's just set for classic rock,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is gonna sound crazy, but forgive me. Ham radio. Can you explain what that is?
It's a shortwave radio.
Okay.
It's basically that's Art. That's kind of a funny story too. Art had this, God forbid, 200-foot tower or something, right? Which he had to go to the city commission and everything to get permission to put this crazy thing up. Yeah. And he did it. And that was Art's other love besides radio was he loved ham radio.
And there are people out there that still to this day are ham radio aficionados, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even sometimes if back in the day, I wish I would have tried, but you could probably scan and you could have found Art talking to somebody. There's somebody on YouTube actually has a video of Art talking.
Cool.
Just shooting a breeze with somebody.
That's cool.
So, yeah. But, all right, Bubba. Well, I will let you go, ma'am.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Bye, Randy.
Thanks,
be safe,
Randy.
man.
All right. Be safe.
See you guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay, we're going to call Kathy Owens. I think everybody remembers her. So, Kathy, I hope you're listening. I talked to her earlier today, and she said she'd be willing to come on. She's driving a truck right now, so that's just perfect. She's a 18-wheel.
Awesome.
She's a truck driving girl, paranormal girl. Does say?
I want to see the truck. 2005.
Yeah. Don't say that over there, please. All right, so I'm just making sure I don't call the wrong person. That would be funny if I got a hold of the wrong person. They knew who Art Bell was.
Yeah.
Start talking.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But here, let's see. Let's see if she's. And she may be busy. I mean, I don't want her to wreck that big. She just got out of truck driving school too, not too long ago.
Oh, surely they have Bluetooth.
Hey guys.
Hey, it's Kathy Owens.
How are you?
Hey.
I'm
doing great.
It's so good to hear your voice again.
We're doing great. Doing great.
Yeah.
Good to hear you. So
I'm
before
calling you this time from South Carolina.
I love South Carolina.
Yeah.
Where are you in South Carolina? Oh, wait, never mind. You don't have to say that on the radio.
You guys know I went back to driving truck.
Yeah.
Right.
And Randy, yeah. So my son and I are a team operation now.
Cool, man.
That's awesome. So is your son with you right now?
Yeah, he's sitting in the other jump seat.
Give him my regards, please.
Yeah.
He's listening. He's
awesome.
Got his
What's up, man?
Let's hear that truck horn.
The truck horn?
Yes.
I don't know if I can. I'd get in trouble. There's cars around me.
Okay, never mind.
Dang.
I knew another.
Flying off the freeway.
Yeah, I knew another radio guy that used to go blow the truck, and the truckers would always go.
That's cool.
Do the horns.
Yeah, don't scare anybody up.
But yeah, don't scare anybody. Don't cause a wreck.
Yeah, you get that little kid in the back window.
I
doing the
used to
arm
be
pump,
that
you
little
know?
kid.
Oh yeah, I did the same
I
thing.
still am that little kid. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I tried to get him on.
Right?
That's
Now it's
cool.
like against the law. You can't even do it.
Yeah.
Dang, that sucks.
What's the sense of having the horn?
Exactly.
That's true. That's true. But I bet they get out of your way when you pull that string down.
Amen. I tell you, yeah. You know, I was just going to say the beauty about being out here driving truck, especially with me driving at night, I get to see the night skies.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, you know, I am
For
so
sure.
watching because, you know, I think from the last time I talked to you guys, I had a UFO encounter over in Nevada just from being a truck driver.
Right.
So,
Right.
and with us out here constantly being on the road, we get to see things that others don't.
For
So
sure.
that's what's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fascinating.
The vast night. I
Yeah,
love the
she-
vast night sky, man.
Yeah, she saw this.
Yep.
Me and her talked about this earlier today. I think we brought it up. She saw the same UFO Art did.
Right. Yeah,
in
we talked
Pahrump.
about that last time.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
what
it
she
sure did.
Yeah, what you described was exactly the same crap
same
that Art
area.
saw around the same
Right,
area.
yeah.
Just well, Nevada.
Right.
So, I
Yeah,
believe
because
it
he lived in Pahrump.
Right.
And yeah, my mom lives in Pahrump, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. I just never knew he lived in Pahrump. I was like, oh wow, you know. And
That's wild.
Well, it was that
yeah.
it was that big house with the 200-foot antenna in front of it. So I'm sure you saw it.
I should have just looked for the 250 foot
I know, it's just
ham
like-
operator CB antenna on the roof. You know?
I know exactly. So, Kathy, share with us some of your memories of Art and how you started listening to him.
Oh my gosh, I was always a fan of Art, and then when I met Travis and we hooked up, he was a huge fan of Art Bell as well. So I mean, we were out in the western states and the western areas. We'd always put him on AM, AM coast to coast, and listen to his shows. The man is a genius.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I call him the king of paranormal.
Absolutely.
The things that he discussed, and I mean, I can't say so much for some of his guests that he had on the show. There were quite a few weird ones. But
Yeah.
ones I just scratched my head and you go, wow, okay, whatever. But now, like the show you said you were on, I didn't even know you were on the show in 2013.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know. And now that you played that segment,
That's
I was
so
like,
cool.
oh, now I recall it,
Yeah.
Oh, you heard Keith back in 2013?
Probably.
Yes.
You listened to
yes.
the show. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was.
But I didn't even think it was him. Maybe
cool.
there's more than one Keith Sharp.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
There's several key sharps actually.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did you Google your name to see how many there are?
You're a time traveler.
You know, I have done that, and the funny thing, there's probably 3 key sharps within about 40 miles of me.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
there's
no
one.
kidding.
Yeah, there's one in Norman, Oklahoma. There's one in Moore, and then there's me. And we're like,
There's only one you though.
There's only one me. Yeah,
I
exactly.
guarantee you, those other key sharps are nothing like you.
Yeah.
I can
There's
almost
no
guarantee
carbon
you they're not
copy of
doing a YouTube live show right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably all millionaires, these other guys. But yeah, so I mean that's cool. I mean, because I always think about how cool it would have been to been a trucker, or someone driving and just 1 a.m, you're kind of bored. It's dark and you turn Art Bell on and thinking how entertaining that would have been.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
It kept your ears wide open, as we would say. Got your ears on. So yeah, it was a pleasure listening to Art. I mean, the man, like I said, the man was a genius.
He was
King of paranormal.
yeah.
And some of his topics, and he talked about everything.
He did.
So,
he did.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's funny that he went from political radio, to paranormal radio. And I don't know if you heard earlier, but that's how he got in the whole coast to coast thing. Is he had a caller call in and said, "Hey, I'm seeing a UFO right now," and he said this is on his political radio show, and he said his phone just lit up and didn't stop.
Right.
And people were calling,
Wow.
and they started talking about UFOs, started talking about ghosts, and then that's what sparked that idea.
Of
Hey,
course,
this
yeah.
might be a good idea for a show.
Yeah.
Can I say this?
Sure.
Of course.
Politics is boring.
Exactly,
It is.
man.
It is.
And repetitive.
boring.
Yeah.
And it gets everybody, arguing, I mean, but
Right.
everybody would open their ears to the paranormal.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
mind expanding is what it is. That's what I've noticed just from having our show.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
every show we walk
Exactly.
away and we're like, holy cow, we just learned so much, man.
Yeah, I want to make people. I mean, open your mind up, and
Yeah.
don't be so narrow-minded.
I mean, we're going to
Exactly.
talk to Kathy right now. She's in South Carolina.
Yeah, how cool.
No telling where Randy was at, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this is so cool.
It is. It is
Yeah.
awesome. We can talk to people around the world
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
right?
definitely.
And
So-
I'm driving too, and I just got my Bluetooth on my head, and I'm
Good.
talking to you guys.
All
Got
right.
my cell phone with the video playing. So,
Nice.
So yeah,
So you're
I
being
can see you guys.
so you're being safe.
So how
yeah,
did you first get into art? Like what was your initial intro? Did somebody tell you about them?
Just because I'm into the paranormal, I'm into the weird and the odd and unusual,
Right.
and especially UFOs. I'm totally into that. So, and then everybody was telling me, "Hey, have you ever listened to Art Bell?" And I'm like, "Really? Where's this at?" And then they told me the radio station, and I started listening to them, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh,"
Speak my
and
language,
I got hooked. I just got totally hooked on him.
Do you remember?
So-
Did you ever have this problem? I remember there'd be times if I was driving very far, I'd have to be on AM radio, and it'd start going. You were like, you art kept cutting out and kept cutting out,
right.
and then it's like you had to find when you got to, like, say you went to, like, when I drove to Texas, like, to see my mom or whatever,
Right.
when they lived there, and it's like you have
Yeah.
to look for another KMO, another radio station that was carrying the broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the only thing.
Well,
That was a good thing now that we got satellite radio where
Right.
nothing ever cuts out,
Definitely,
and you
yeah.
can get an endless stream.
Hey, Georgina from the chat wants to hear about Kathy's UFO experience, the same one as Art's.
Oh yeah,
If you
yeah,
don't
Kathy, go ahead and
Yeah.
share with everybody about your UFO experience, the same one that Art saw.
Okay. It took place March 1st, 1998. My husband and I were both team operation truck drivers, and we had a load that was coming down into Las Vegas, Nevada at Zero Cold Storage. And we had just stopped in Jackpot, Nevada, and stopped in to have dinner and plus change drivers because he had, he was up on his hours. And so I took over driving in Jackpot, Nevada, and we're heading heading south down the 93. And of course, this is on the east side of Area 51. So we stopped, which was quite odd because we stopped in Alamo, Nevada to fill up our thermos with coffee. And it's just a little mom and pop like type little truck stop. And it was so kind of cute because like I said, my husband and I were totally into this stuff. They had this little fluorescent green beanie baby of an alien.
Oh, cool.
And we
Gotta
ended up,
get it.
I ended up buying it. And that, as soon as we got out to the truck, I put it up on the dash.
Of
and that
course.
became our mascot.
Cool, yeah.
So
Well done,
we headed
Kathy.
on down the road, 2-lane highway. And my husband had like one of those suction cup like compasses that floats in the little ball.
Uh-huh.
And he had it up on the dash, and I always made fun of him about his damn gizmos and gadgets.
Like Keith.
It's like I was like, my gosh, we got so much junk in this truck. Really,
Yeah.
we have to have a compass too, But I was driving, and out in the middle of nowhere, there was no civilization, no buildings, no nothing. I mean, it's out in the middle of nowhere. And my husband looks and goes, "Honey, look at the compass." And I looked at it, and the thing is spinning like crazy, like
God.
counterclockwise.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, "Oh my God!" It's just,
Okay. It's
and
happening.
immediately we start looking out the windows, and he's going, "Something's around here," and couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything out my window or the windshield. He looked out the passenger side, and thank God, if it had not been a full moon that night, we wouldn't have seen anything. It was a black craft that was following alongside our truck. It was more than likely the entire length of our truck, and which is 73. I don't know. I was in my Classic, I believe. No, I was in the FLD. So yeah, about 73 feet. And this thing is following alongside the truck. Now, it's skimming along the desert at no more than 4 feet above the ground.
4?
About 4 feet above the
Wow.
ground. Skimming
Holy cow.
right alongside our truck.
Very
and
precise.
I would say, right? My husband, Mr. Engineer, he was probably taking measurements as he's watching this thing. I would say it was probably no more than 20 to 25 feet away from our truck.
How big was it?
Yeah,
It was about the length of our truck, about 73
Man,
feet.
it's crazy what you say too about like, thank God it was a full moon, because that immediately when you said that, immediately I started thinking like on my way home, like man, those things could just be flying around. We'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, it was a shiny black metallic. Like I said, it glistened in the moonlight, and it was solid black. But if it wasn't for the moon glistening on it, we wouldn't have been able to see it
For sure.
or see the outline of it.
Right.
It had no lights. It had no sound. It had no engines. It had
God
nothing.
bless.
Wow.
It didn't even hum. And he's rolling down the window, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Yeah, of course.
I'm in panic mode. I
You
think
just
we're all
won the
going to die or
lottery.
be zapped up.
Yeah.
I had 41,000 pounds of Ore-Ida French fries. If you want them, take them.
Yeah.
Just leave us out of this,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
But it made angles that none of our aircraft can make. It could move within a split second.
Wow.
Just zip, just back and forth, and just zip, zip, zip. And what it was doing was it was avoiding the cactus on the desert floor. And it was like zipping around the cactus, but still staying alongside our truck.
That's crazy.
5 miles. 5 miles.
Wow.
So, and now all my instruments on the truck is starting to go crazy. The lights are flashing. I thought the truck was going to stall. Now, our
That would have been
aircraft
worst case scenario.
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, but I can't even tell you what happened because I really don't even know. I just know that it's like the both of us just like came to. It's like we just kind of went off into a trance, and we both came to, and I lit up the highway that night, locking up all 18 tires. You know, and just came to, and we just sat there looking at each other like, what the hell just happened? Exactly. Excuse my French.
No.
But I always look at it this way: if the words in the dictionary, I'll say it.
Yeah. I mean, two thoughts really. First thought is, if it had the ability to do all of that, it definitely had the ability to stall out the truck. So thank God it didn't.
Well, you hear lots of cases where not recently, but I recently saw a show where a UFO had went over a police car and it shut down the car completely. I mean, the radio stopped, the car engine wouldn't turn over, the lights went out. As soon as this craft left, then he was able to start his car back up and radio. Yeah, because the dispatch was worried about him because they kept calling for him, and he wasn't. Right. And he was outside his car looking at this thing, going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the whole city. I'll do some research and get back, but yeah, the whole city where this UFO was, there was like 200-300 people witnessed this thing, and they had the whole police force chasing this thing.
So
wow.
Yeah, but yeah, your UFO is exactly, when I talked to you several months ago, I guess when we first started the show, you brought that up, and I was thinking, oh my God, she just described the exact same UFO Art and Mona saw on her. They were driving back from Las Vegas on their way home to Pahrump. Mona was with him, and he said this thing hovered right beside the car, and it had no noise. And he said the crazy thing was, he said when they stopped, it just would stop. It would just hovered.
Just mimicking.
And we don't have any aircraft that can just we have stealth, I think, can do it. But yeah, it was.
Well, regardless though, it's not of this world.
Right, and it's not of this world, absolutely. And so that was So
however, it did have the nose like a stealth. Okay,
Did it?
It was pointed. It was the smallest point of that triangle was in the front. And then the biggest part of the triangle was in the back, but the whole thing was a triangular shape.
Right.
But I know what a stealth looks like, and no, that was not a stealth.
Right, for
there
sure.
There was no way that was a stealth.
It kind of makes me think, though, like about like aviation and stuff. If we do have captured this, if we're replicating it.
That's exactly what I've heard. Is that the UFOs that we have captured, or I don't know if captured the right word, but discovered, is that we're copying their technology,
or even if we're witnessing them, taking
witness
accounts
and using it for our defense.
Right. Yeah.
And I was actually told.
But that's what a lot of people were asking me. Well, you were near Area 51. Maybe it was an experimental craft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there was no pilot.
Well, that
there wasn't even a pilot. There was nobody driving it. Okay?
Well, and like you said, like the propulsion of it, and like how agile it was.
Kathy, I bet there was a pilot, and I bet it was a little green man.
Yeah,
I would say it was.
Yeah.
Well, to finish the story is we finally got into Vegas that night. Stopped at the truck stop on Cheyenne, and my husband had just purchased a brand new watch. And in West Virginia, and I had my Timex, and Timex can take a beating and keep on ticking, so we don't lose time. We both got into Vegas, and we looked at our watches, and we were like, huh? And then the waitress came over, and I said, do you know what time it is? And she goes, yeah, this is the time. And even there was a clock up on the wall above the waitress's station right there, you know, where they pull the orders down.
Uh-huh.
We both lost 15 minutes on our watch.
I'm glad you brought that. I was going to ask about what happened to time. That is bizarre.
Well, that happened.
We lost 15
minutes. That is bizarre.
You say, yeah. I mean, that's what everybody says.
I
think Betty and Barney Hill lost a bunch of time.
Right.
I mean, there's been many people who said that it was, it seemed like it happened in 2 minutes and it was 3 hours later. You know,
wild, man.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so I wonder, who knows? Maybe you got abducted and you don't remember.
Right.
To be honest with you, I really believe we did. Something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened in that desert that night, and it's like we lost time.
Do you feel lucky though, like to have experienced that?
In a way, I do.
Because I'm seeing people in the chat being like, "Man, I wish I could like see a UFO, or I wish I could have that experience." And I know I personally wish I could have that experience, though. I didn't know.
But
was it that creepy?
The thing, Garrett, it was terrifying.
That's my point. I don't know.
It was because it's the unknown.
I know.
It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen to you.
It's
just
fascinating. You're lucky. I feel grateful for you, though. Good that you got out on the other side, right? Like,
yeah, that I came back.
Yeah,
and my French fries were okay.
We get to talk. Yeah, we still get to talk to you in 2021.
Yeah, maybe they ate half her French fries.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all.
Actually, the whole load was accounted for.
Okay. Hey, I like what McClure says. They're Irish aliens. They're trying to get the potato.
Hell yeah.
That's funny.
Oh yeah.
So Kathy, what do you got going on? Last time I talked to you, you were in talks with maybe a network of doing a Paranormal Truckers show.
That'd be cool.
And we've started.
Yay!
So my son and I are officially now Paranormal Truckers.
Cool.
And we're working on traveling across the United States and trying to get time off at haunted locations so we can investigate.
How cool is that?
Hey, let us know if you swing through.
Yeah.
Right? You guys are going to give me your address.
Hey, that'd be cool. We'll go on a little ghost hunt.
Yeah, we could do
We've
that.
had some requests.
Well, you guys are in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're coming through.
We're
I know you're.
there.
Yeah. We see the trucks.
We were just there the other night.
We have the line. I think it's called the Lions Inn that Zach and all those everybody
Stone
Lions Inn. That's supposed to be very haunted. It's here in Guthrie, just a few miles.
Yeah. Hey,
from
I had
there.
somebody
my
request
God, that's
that, dude.
right.
I had somebody. Jared Garner.
Okay,
requested that.
Now my huge question is, do they have truck parking?
We'll figure that out. We'll sort that out.
We'll figure that out.
I got a massive parking lot. You can at the gym.
Yeah, he owns a gym.
Yeah,
so
we got you.
We can park you there, and you can hop in my pickup, and we'll just go zoom down the highway.
Awesome.
Dude,
as long as it's a truck route, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right off the highway.
Absolutely. So anything else going on? You want to tell everybody about your Facebook group?
Oh, Facebook group? Oh, my gosh. I've got several going. I got my MPI page, which is Mountain Paranormal Investigators. We are still doing that. That's in full swing. Matter of fact, my son and I just got 5 days off next month, and we are going to California to go do some paranormal investigating and hook up with my manager, John.
Nice.
So we got about 3 or 4 gigs planned for that. And then I have Paranormal Truckers, which can be found on Facebook. So everybody can start keeping track. You know, and everybody was asking me, they're like, how in the heck can a truck driver find time to paranormal investigate? I mean, where do we find time? Because especially being a team operation,
right.
The truck is constantly rolling, you know. Not necessarily. We get to a location like, let me give you an example. The truck, this is, matter of fact, this is another truck we got. My son got a 2022 Freightliner Cascadia, brand new.
Sweet.
Shouldn't even been out on the floor, out on the road yet. And we broke down in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And they put us up in a motel for 6 days. So the company paid for it. I was immediately on the horn contacting paranormal teams in the area, you know, saying, hey, what are you guys doing? Unfortunately, the team that I contacted was out of town for the weekend. But they told us, they said, the next time you're in town, let us know and we'll take you to all these haunted locations.
Absolutely.
That's what we're looking for, is we're looking for, like, when we have a 34-hour reset, a 70-hour reset, or when we take our time off.
Uh-huh.
The beauty of it is we can take our time off wherever we want. You know, if I want to go to Waverly Hills in Kentucky, I can go to Waverly Hills. You know, I can take that time off in that area. And as long as they got Uber and Lyft to get me where I need to go, we got it going.
That's awesome. So cool.
So, yeah, that's why we decided to start this team, and I hope it takes off. So far, so good. We investigated a haunted location in downtown Phoenix. We didn't feel like staying in the truck, so we went and stayed in a hotel that was built back in the 1930s, and it was originally a bank, and then they turned it into the Hilton. And oh my gosh, that hotel was haunted to no end. Come to find out, it is also the street corner in the hotel where they filmed the movie Psycho.
Oh, wow.
So with Alfred Hitchcock, yes.
That's cool.
So, and all those pictures that we took of the hotel are on my MPI Facebook page. So,
wow.
I mean, so yeah, we do take pictures of our travels and show everybody the locations we hit. So everybody can come on over there and join out.
Absolutely.
I'm looking for teams to work with us in various states that we go to. I'm looking for people to help me navigate. If I'm coming up on a haunted a city, like today we were in Savannah. I was like, oh my gosh, can we stop? Savannah, man, haunted. Oh, I love it. So
no kidding.
But no, we weren't able to stop. We were able to just pick up our load and get out of there.
Right,
but,
right.
I'm looking for a team to help me navigate. I'm looking for people to get on board with me and, hey, Kat, if you're coming to this city, this is what's haunted, blah, 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 and help me out. So, but yeah, and I'd like to get other truckers on board as well with this. So that way we can cover everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It's awesome.
That sounds great. Well, Kathy,
but in the meantime, I'm going to be watching the skies for those UFOs while I'm out here.
Yeah, make sure you pull out that cell phone video and get some video of that.
Oh, we got dash cams.
Good.
Oh, that's right.
Perfect.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, Kathy, we're going to let you go. We're getting ready to end the show. And thank you so much for calling.
Thanks, guys.
Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will do.
All right. Keep in
touch.
Yeah, you keep in touch as well. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's so much fun to talk to. And what a cool idea.
It is a great idea, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know if she meant if the network actually picked her up or...
I don't know.
We didn't
It's
get
a great idea, though.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, if she shoots enough stuff, then she can present that to a network and
pilot.
Get a little pilot going. And
that's cool, man.
How about that? Right? So Pamela, any questions?
No, I think most of them have actually been answered.
Okay. Hey, we went through a whole show without reading anything. How about that? Yeah, no. How about that?
That was awesome, dude.
Yeah. I was happy about that because the reading, the reading part I hate.
I know. I mean, but what a fascinating person.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for anybody who hadn't listened to Art Bell, I bet there's a few people listening that are going to listen to this that I know of that aren't familiar with him. Now they get to be introduced to him. Like I said earlier, this should be a documentary. What the hell is that?
I know.
How's there not that would be the most intriguing documentary.
Give us some time. For sure. It'll happen,
Let
I
it
think.
sink in a little bit.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Okay, good.
I think it'll happen.
Okay.
But, I mean, yeah, because that guy's life was just too interesting not
Absolutely.
to document on it. But
I bet he has so much material, too.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, Garrett, it's about that time to wrap things up.
Next show?
Yes, the next show, you guys are not going to want to miss this one. It is going to be on EVPs. I've got 3 personal EVPs, if I can find them, from moving and everything. Hopefully I can find the hard drive I have it on. I'm sure I'll find them. But if not, me and Gary are going to research some EVPs.
Hey, feel free to email us some if you have them.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Anybody who has some EVPs.
lifeafterlife@gmail.com.
Send them to lifeafterlife@gmail.com. We will play them on the show. And if you want to call and talk about it, that would be awesome. That's what we want. Everybody communicating. And I think next week's going to be a fun show.
I think it's going to be impressive.
And next week we are going to have a giveaway. We did hit our 1,000. I think we're at 1,100, something like that.
Yep.
Close to 12, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
Hopefully we didn't lose anybody with the 2 weeks off or the week off we had. But yeah, so what I'm planning to do is, if you guys remember, we did a show with the military medium.
Awesome.
And he was nice enough to give 2 free gift certificates for 2 free readings.
And they're amazing.
Yeah, they're amazing. And these are like 200.
My wife did it.
Yeah, these are like 200 a piece. And
yeah,
these are email readings. And I know you're thinking, oh, he can't.
No, it's for
real.
He
can do it through email.
Yeah, it's weird.
He did it with my daughter.
I hate to say weird, but it's weird.
Yeah, he can do
Nailed
it through there.
Dude.
So if
Nailed it.
Anybody wants to win a free reading with the military medium,
tune in next week.
Tune in next week, because what we're going to do.
We have a little game. Don't tell them.
Well, no, we
have a game.
Oh, we're going to. Okay, you want to do the game?
Surprise game. I think we should do the game.
We'll do the game.
I think it'd be fun.
You don't want to tell them what the game is?
No, because what if we change the game and make it even better?
Well, we talked about 2 different ones. So anyway, we're
gonna have a game.
Okay, so
I love games.
If you guys want a free reading,
play the game.
Tune in next week, and we've got a game to play.
Play the game.
You can win it, and it's a really. This guy's really good, man.
He's really good. Watch that episode.
Yeah, go back and watch that episode. Military Medium. He nailed Garrett's and he nailed mine. My dad had just passed away, and my dad was a guitarist. And he said, "Who's this guy coming in right now? Man, he's rocking out on the guitar." Yeah. And it's like he had no way of knowing that.
My papa was a long haul trucker with rosacea cheeks and glasses. Yep.
Yeah, and we looked at Garrett's picture that he found, and it was identical to what this man said.
Flannel shirt with the pocket. Yeah. Dude, don't get me started.
Yeah.
I could hardly sleep that night, dude.
Yeah, he's very, very well. And your friend, I know I brought this up a million times. The guy committed suicide.
Yeah. Which I had a thing at your house with.
Right, and this was someone, a personal friend of Garrett. This wasn't in the paper. There's nothing to mention Garrett, even if it would.
Right, yeah.
Was so the guy's
my brother's
good.
Friend. Yeah,
yeah.
He's my brother's friend.
Yeah,
it was like crazy.
The guy's really good.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. Tune in and make sure you play the game.
Yeah, tune in next week, and we're gonna give away a free reading. And we've got one more reading, but we may wait till we hit 2,000.
Let's hold on to it.
We're gonna hold on to it till we hit 2,000. Come on, you guys, share, like, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's get
be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, be a part of the conversation, man. We're talking about important stuff. Life.
Yep. Follow us on Facebook too.
Life, death, ghosts, aliens.
Hey, because we're about to start ramping up the Facebook, Instagram stuff.
Yeah, we're getting ready.
We're gonna get everybody included.
We're gonna do a blitzkrieg.
Yep, I love it.
On Instagram.
Social media.
I don't know anything about Instagram, but you'll have to take care of that. But yeah, we want to get a big community in here. And anyway, so
great show, Keith.
That was a great show.
I'm so glad to be back. Last week was
nice
weird.
to be back, and
we missed you guys, and we love you.
Pammy, you got any closing thoughts before we go?
No.
We woke her up.
So, all right. Well, anyway, guys, thanks again so much, and we will see you next week.
Next Tuesday.